Hello and good morning, everyone. OnlyPositivity here. I have my coffee with me, ready to explore this new phase of life with you all. So over the past few years, I have gained a whole new perspective on life, and I've realized that life is too short to not be enjoying yourself while doing great things. So come along with me as I explore this new lens through fitness, photography, reading, traveling, cannabis, and much more. Looking forward to the journey, guys. And remember, only positivity. Hello and good morning, everyone. Only positivity here. I have some tea with me today, bitch. I'm ready to kick off podcast number 102 on this place that I'm looking to launch called Elevated Thoughts. So before diving into the topic of the day and everything like that, let's go ahead and start with the level set, as I endeavor upon pursuing knowledge and life experience in this next phase of life through fitness, photography, reading, cannabis, many more things. One habit that I've really formed is traveling. And this podcast essentially goes through some of the more recent travels that I've been endeavoring upon and taking those lessons learned, applying those to experiences in my life. But before we dive into, today's travel review, just want to give a couple of shout outs, man. Like first off, shout out to, Jacob Samuel and Jonah Varghese for getting on the podcast. You guys got me over the 100th episode mark. I didn't even notice that it happened, but I'm a big accomplishment for me. Just been sticking with this over the past few years. Still really green, still really novice with all of it, but feel like I've been connecting with some great people. So fortunate for everyone that I've been connecting with over the past few weeks. Jacob and I went and got dinner with his wife and my wife after we did our last podcast, and that was fucking awesome. Made a new friend, a new couple friends too, and a new couple friends, a new friend, whatever, right? You know what I'm trying to say, motherfucker. But made a new couple of friends, and then shout out to my boy Justin John and my girl Shireen. They got me like a little plaque situation for my 100th episode, and I got it posted up on my wall here, man. I love it. I got a lot of love around me. I got a lot of good people around me. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep rolling with the good times, man. And then speaking of great people, one of my boys, his name's Steve. We actually recently went to Idaho together, and that's the travel review we're going to be going through today. But, I just kind of hit record today, man. I didn't really plan too much, but I think we're going to run it down good. So, again, the main shout out of this one goes to my buddy Steve, man. Like, he's always down to clown, always down to go do shit, always down to explore and, do good things. And that's like right up my alley. We go for walks together, we get food together, we sit and chat, have coffee, and we go travel together too, man, and it's a good way to connect, on positive things. We talk almost every day. And just catch up on workouts, and it's good to have a friend like that keeps you accountable and things like that. So shout out to you, my bro. I love you, dog. Hopefully you listen to this and fuck yourself. Just kidding. But anyway, before we jump in, man, I just just gonna put this out there. I've been feeling kind of fucking sad, these days, and I think it's because of the weather here in Chicago. It's very dreary, and we're nearing the tail end of winter and about to jump into spring, and I think we're all just ready. But I've been dealing with some family stuff and just things like that, and as you get to the age where I'm at, things start to get a little existential. You just kind of don't know where your life's going. I think my life is going in a good direction, but you just there's a little bit more open space, white space for thinking and whatnot. So we're all trying to like think about our futures and whatnot now. And it can be stressful at times, but then, I level set with my boys and my wife, and, you feel good again. You feel like, we've been working for these moments. So I'm not going to go ahead and dive down that path. I think that'd be a good conversation with someone. So if anyone wants to talk about that shit, holler at your boy, man. I'm always down to go down that path. But, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the motherfucking story for today, or the motherfucking travel review. So like I said, I went with my boy Steve, but Idaho, right? Like, why Idaho? I had no idea, that wasn't on my radar, But my buddy Steve is always, scoping out these low key dope ass spots. A couple. I did a podcast on Rockaway Beach, but he also sniffed that spot out, and it was, the trip of a lifetime. It was amazing. So, kudos to having a friend like that who is going to keep you on your toes and always throw out new locations for traveling and whatnot. I'm all about that shit and experiencing new things. So, we looked at some spots. I started looking at, there's a lot of Amazon documentaries on Prime. There's a lot of documentaries on Netflix related to Idaho, and you start realizing that it's gorgeous there, right? It's mountainous. It's right by Oregon, so it's not like in Iowa or anything like that. So it's the gem state, right? So there's a lot there. There's some great mountain ranges. There's a dark sky reserve out there, which is just a spot where there's not a lot of light pollution. It's kind of like kept the way a national park is kept, and there's some just beautiful stars out there. So we look with all this data that we got. We were like, all right, let's let's pull the trigger. So the first thing we usually do is book flights and a spot to stay, and then everything else kind of falls into place after that. So the first thing we did was we booked our flights. Obviously, flew Air Alaska round trip, not a problem at all. I flew Air Alaska again to Portland a couple weeks back, and it was totally fine. So all good there. So we booked those trips, the flights, and then we booked an Airbnb. And I was like, when you're with a friend and it's not your wife or someone who's you financially share. You always want to be cognizant of how much you want to spend on a place. You want to, be aware of everyone's budget. So, we were trying to find some decent places and some cost effective places. And then my boy threw out this crazy Airbnb that used to be it is now a hollowed out yoga studio, right? So it used to be a full on yoga studio. So it had a locker room. It had kind of like a check-in desk, and, had this upstairs that was completely windowed out all around, and this huge wood floor, no TVs. So we were like, man, let's hit the tranquil vibes on that one. Let's go ahead and pull the trigger on that. So a little bit pricier, but it was called the Treehouse. So if you guys ever looked that up in Boise, feel free to stay there. It's an amazing Airbnb. Really nice. It's got 2 bedrooms. So you can't go there with a big group, but for 2, 3, 4 people, it's a dope spot. So anyway, so we put that in there, and a big wealth of information is Reddit, and I don't use it as much. My boy uses it all the fucking time, so he was scoping out all the spots, right? So again, you see, it pays to have a friend like this, like Steve, because he's always just researching. He's always taking in new knowledge, right? So that's a little OnlyPositivity for you dumbasses there. But anywho, so we then book a Turo, right? So we look at Enterprise, we look at all the rental companies, and then, we decide on getting this Turo because it's a little bit cheaper. And my buddy, he drives a truck, so we got a Ford F-150, which was sick, man. It's like a big, hefty truck, I drive a Honda Accord, so it's a bigger upgrade for me. And my boy's comfortable driving it because he's got one. So, hey, all's looking good, right? So, we get that done back in April, right? And our trip is not until August. So we're prepped. We're ready to go. We got a place to stay, we got the flights and our transportation. And now everything else we can just look up, right? So we're going there from a Thursday to a Sunday, which I highly recommend. So the trip finally comes up, right? We check into our flight. The flight's at 2:00-ish, and you're going to save time going there. So, no harm done. So, we get up, my boy lives by the airport and I live a little bit away from the airport. So usually we try to meet up beforehand, but it just didn't make sense right now. But pause for a second. Let me go ahead and get some tea in my dumb ass. I don't know what these buttons are, man. So sometimes I just push something to pass the time. Yeah, so one of those bitches. But anywho, so I'm doing my thing, right? I'm getting lit up before we go to the airport. Got my edibles with me. Smoke a few joints before I go. Hop in the Uber. Get my ass to the airport. Now, I don't remember anything of note happening in the Uber, so I'm sure it was smooth, right? So we get over there, and dude, I'm always tweaked out when I go through security. I don't know why. I'm always tweaked out. I feel like they're gonna pull me over, and I'm just gonna have to get a cavity check really quickly. But so I'm like, I'm not trying to do that, man. But I over the past few times I haven't gotten caught up, so I must be not looking as suspect as normal. But yeah. So anyway, I get to the gate, and it's funny. Like my boy Steve, he's a real quiet guy. Like he meshes in with the crowd, nice and easy. He's a real sociable dude. So he was walking. He was walking right by me. I didn't notice him until he smiled. Like he's got a big bright smile, So I was like, oh, what the, So then we hit up the bar. Grab a few White Claws, and again, I'm not a big drinker these days, so I could just grab like 1 or 2 White Claws. And I was like, we're gonna be sitting down for like 3 hours, so I'm not trying to like be all fucked up, and I'm already kind of turned up off these edibles and shit. So I like that kind of. That's more tolerable for me than anything else, honestly. So we get on the plane, we fly over to Boise, right? And then we get off on the tarmac, honestly, and like we go through this little like tunneled tarmac area to get to the airport once we land in Boise. So it's a smaller airport, and I love that because it's easy to get in and out. So then we do that. We take our shuttle over to the parking lot, and that's where the two-row host has parked that car, and it's like this like USA out truck, right? Like got the American flag all over it. So we're looking pretty good as a couple of brown dudes in like Idaho, right? We're like, hey, America. So all good. So we get over to the Airbnb, and we just are in awe for a second, man. We just get there. We made it. The Airbnb is dope. We go sit on the balcony for a little bit. It's right on the river. So it was just amazing, And then we get settled in, right? And as you can imagine, right, we're fucking hungry as hell. So we go sniff out a steakhouse. And I can't remember the name of the steakhouse, but it was like one of the biggest steakhouses in Boise. So I'm sure you guys will be able to find it if you ever go do that. So we went over there, and it was amazing. Like we dressed up a little bit, got a nice steak dinner, and then they were playing some like vibey ass jazz music. They had a live singer there. And it was amazing. Got some whiskey, some wine and shit. It was just like a nice vibey evening, and so then we get back, we grab a few drinks, we're chilling at the place, and, we're tired from the day. I worked that day. So, we end up like just, kicking it, kind of exploring the area a little bit, as we do. And then we just knocked out. And then the next morning, we woke up at a reasonable hour, like 7:38, and then we did some stretching. And I want to take full advantage of that Airbnb because it was just so peaceful and tranquil and just gorgeous, and the sunlight was hitting you right. So we just stretched when we woke up a little bit. I started hydrating, got some liquid IVs in, and then we went to get this breakfast spot called Bacon, and that's all it's called, Bacon. And it was everything in there. It's just like they got bacon in everything, even in the coffee. I'm just kidding. But the coffee was also great. So I got me like a legit breakfast burrito. I think my boy got some chicken and waffles or bacon and waffles, whatever. It was like this huge mountain of shit. And he, he destroyed that. Probably blew out his asshole later. But so we were ready. We were carved up, ready to go. So we decided to hit the Sawtooth Mountain Range, and my boy peeped that out, and we were talking to people actually the night before, and this one dude was like, hey, you should check out Hidden Lake. It's a trail, and it's a little bit more strenuous trail, but it's like a little bit of a trough, like a lake that's formed at the top of a mountain, so it's really scenic. So we're like, let's do that, and let's make that like a night, an evening hike, or into the evening at least, so we can see the stars while we're out there. So after everything, we come back, we get the water going, we get all our supplies going, get my hiking backpack ready and all that shit. And we prepare for like a 3.5 hour drive out to Stanley, Idaho, which is like a little remote ass town that's like maybe a few buildings, and you just go through there to kind of like make a pit stop before you go on your hikes, So anywho, so we drive out there, we're stopping along the way, we're, getting some awesome angles in, some views, check out my reel on Idaho. It's beautiful out there. And then, so it's the weather, it's beautiful. It's like 85 degrees and just sunny. And then we make our first stop at this little waterfall area, and there's a bunch of people just like all like, they seem like they've just gone swimming. And I'm like, it's a hot day. Maybe this is a cool spot to go swimming, cool yourself off. And so we start. So, we are always chopping it up with the locals there, right? So one dude's like, hey, have you gone in the water? I'm like, no, I haven't. He's like, oh, it's so relaxing. I'm like, yeah, no, for sure. And then we see a bunch of people just like kind of lounging, floating around in the water. Some dude's got like a pizza and like he's camped out with his family there in the water. And then he's like, no, these are hot springs. Like, and I'm like, what the fuck? So then we put our hands in like on the water, and it's legitimately like hot tub heat. It's hot as fuck. And I'm like, wow. I wish I brought my fucking swim trunks here, because they had these little like, naturally built pools there with like limestone around it, and the water was like, nice and foggy blue, which lets you, there's probably some sulfur in there that just makes it nice and warm. And I was like, man, this is a vibey ass spot, dude. It was just warm, a beautiful day. The sun's like kissing on you right on your neck, really nice. And it just good vibes, man. When the sun hits you, dude, it's a big game changer. So, that was an amazing spot. Check out some of the pictures, and the reel I said again on my Instagram page. It was fucking dope. And so then we get back in the car and we're doing our thing. We're chatting. Me and my boy just chatting it up. We're bonding. We're fucking just really, really getting deep into conversation because we have all this time together, and then finally we make it to Stanley, and, we stop off at like it's a little like visitor center, really small, and we kind of ask the dude there like what's a good trail and where we should go, and he kind of gives us a scoop. So we pop over to this trail that's like it's like a mile down the road, called the Redfish Trailhead, and it's a longer one. It'll take you like 5-6 hours to get done. So mind you, right? We got like 30,000 steps in that day. So anyway, we park up. And then we get our gear going, we get our minds right, and we're like, let's go. So we started up, and right away it starts really strenuous. You're kind of going uphill, so you can get tired right away. You're not really warmed up yet, but once you get going, it's all good. It's totally fine. But it was funny. We were walking, and then it started as a good day, and then once we got a little bit higher with the elevation, it started pissing down, and I was happy I brought like some rainproof gear. My backpack's rainproof, so we were getting caught in some shitty rain. There was like a storm coming over us, and we were kind of scared, honestly, but we just like hid under some trees, and just waited for the storm to pass, and it did pass, but it took a little while for it to pass, so but luckily we were together. I was a little scared at times. I'm sure my boy was a little scared at times, but we powered through it. And it was amazing. And interestingly enough, man, we were just underneath this tree at one point, just like trying to wait for the rain to pass. Because we're not trying to get struck by lightning. You know what I'm saying? That'd be a major buzzkill. And like we turn around and there's this fucking huge hawk just like eyeing us. I'm sure this hawk was trying to get out of the rain as well. And it was totally aware of us. If we got it too close, I'm sure it would fucking either take off or, get really defensive. But it was majestic. I might have been a baby hawk, and it was just huge. I was like, I've never been this close to a hawk before, and it was gorgeous. So majestic, so hard to explain. But anywho, so then we keep moving, and the sun is starting to come out, and the trees, man. When you look off into the distance, you see the Sawtooth Mountains, and they're jagged at the top, which is why they call them the Sawtooth Mountains. And they're just huge. They're just nature is so unrelentless, it's so unforgiving, it's so, just stoic and gargantuan that I can't even describe to you the feeling that you feel so small and insignificant when you get out in nature. And then when you look across the plains, there's probably hundreds of thousands of these green, maybe pine trees, and they're just all stacked up on top of each other. And it's just, I can't even explain it in words. The feeling that comes over you is, how big and how powerful nature is, So, just that's why I encourage everyone to get out and just think, get away from buildings, get away from man-made shit, and just get out and get isolated a little bit, because you'll know what I'm talking about. So anyway, we're moving. So we finally, after many hours, we get to this juncture where if we go right, we're gonna go to this trail called Marshall Lake, and it's gonna take you down, right? You're gonna decrease a little elevation, and then you go left, you're gonna go to the Hidden Lake. is what we came from there for. So we see these two people coming down from it, and they're like, hey, it's another like 2 hours or hour and a half up, and we're like, fuck, it's like 5:30 right now. We don't want to be hiking in the dark. So we had to make a game time decision and be like, you know what, let's not do that right now, because we kind of started off too late for all that. So then what do you call, I'm gonna take another sip of tea, bro. I'll be talking a lot. Just turn into unsolved mysteries on you dumbasses. But anyway, so we end up going to Marshall Lake, which is gorgeous. But the sun is just out now, and it's beautiful. And like the skeeters were out a little bit, biting us. But we get to the bottom of the lake, and there's this like beautiful lake down there, like super lush with green trees and just so many colors. You just get this new appreciation for the color green. And so we sat down there and ate some lunch. We had packed some sandwiches and shit. And then we turned right back around, and we're like, we gotta get going before the summer, the lights go out. What the fuck am I saying? Before the sun sets. And so then we walk back, and there's this one reel I posted with my buddy. He like stumbles a little bit, but he's walking, and the sky is blue, like just after a rain, and the sun has come out. And it's glistening, and you can see the mountains in the back. And I'm in this beautiful spot with one of my best friends, and I'm like, wow, dude, like I'm lucky, bro. I'm lucky. There's a lot of problems we get into on our day to day, but this is beautiful, So I encourage everyone to try to make that memory with anyone you love, because that view is maybe 10, 15 seconds, and you work hours to get there, but that view is worth it. His view is worth just hiking and trucking, but anyway, so we started walking back now, right? We've made our way to like our peak, if you will, and we're high up, and we're making our way back. So another like 3-4 hours back. And so we finally make it down, bro. Me and my bro, we hug each other, it's a we made it, we did it. It was probably the biggest hike he's ever done, one of the biggest I've ever done. So, it's an accomplishment that's worth, an embrace, my dude. So never afraid to tell my boys I love them or give them a hug or something like that, like that's what we need to do. But anyway, so we get back down, and we're exhausted. And now this is the first time where we were experiencing some of the Boise like culture, which was cool, man. It was really dope. So, I'm not sure, I don't want to like be tooting my own horn, but I'll be doing that sometimes. So me and my boy, we're two brown dudes, and we're in shape and shit like that. We take care of ourselves, I guess, and we were getting catcalled left and right, so we got down from this mountain, and there's these like 3 girls who are just like sitting there, and they're about to go to this campsite where I guess they they party up and stuff like that. And they're like, man, look at those smiles, boys. And I'm like, hey, what's up, ladies? How you doing? At ease. And then, so, they're nice. They're innocent, right? And then they're like, hey, do you guys want to take a shot with us? And I look at my boy. I'm like, fuck it. Why not? Right? Why not? So we go over, we take a shot with them. We're catching up with them. And then they invite us back to their campsite. And we're like, we're going to go get dinner. It's all good, And they're like, yeah, no, for sure. It's all good. So it was just a quick, good little situation. Boom, we're good. So then, so that was the first instance of that. I'll circle back around to that. So then, we end up going to this little fucking diner, the only diner in this town, like really the only restaurant, and we get like some bogus ass meal that just like kind of carried us over because we were so fucking hungry. And then, mind you, like we're there for the whole night. Like we're 4 or 5 hours away from our Airbnbs, and it's like 9:30, 10 at night now, So it's probably even later than that. So then, but we're there to see the stars, right? And this is where it gets super fucking trippy, dude. So, I've never really experienced this, but we're driving and it's pitch black, right? And one thing that you gotta be aware of, there's deer. There's always deer. And like, they're gonna like run out of the street as soon as they see you. So it's all good. You just gotta drive slow. But then, we get out and we just look in the distance. And one, it's like, you can hear the breeze, but you can look around and see just fucking these huge silhouettes of mountains, and it's very eerie. It's a little scary. It's daunting, but you stay in there and you accept that kind of feeling, and you just look and you reflect. And again, it's a whole nother experience at night. And it was a little bit of a bummer because the moon was out, so there wasn't a lot of stars to see. But we did find a little pocket where the moon wasn't like kind of like protruding, And I kid you not, I saw like 5 shooting stars in the span of like 2 minutes. And majestic, indescribable, euphoric, emotional. You know, like I'm with my boy and we're just seeing all these shooting stars. And if you've never seen one, it's wonderful. You know, it's like just it's majestic. So I would highly recommend you just go witness that for that purpose, if anything else, if nothing else. So, you know, we're doing that. And, you know, what I'm going to say is kudos to my boy. Like I passed out like a few times, like, you know, just knocked out sleeping, during the drive home, but he was up, he was at it, he was ready to go. And he was just like, yeah, man, just relax. You know, I got this covered. And I was like, you know, kudos to my boy. He drove the entire weekend, you know? So that was really fun. You know, and then, so we got back home at like 5:30, 6 a.m., man. It was really, really late. Maybe a little bit before that, maybe like 3:30, 4 a.m. Got home, man, and knocked out real quick, and then we woke back up at like 8, 4 hours later, ready to go. Right, we're gonna make the most of our time here. So then, that was our hike day. Right, we get that hike day over with, and it was fun. It was beautiful. We experienced like a taste of the scenic side of Idaho, and then today we're gonna explore Boise. Right now, I didn't bring any dress clothes because, you know, I'm with my boy. I don't really need to do that, I feel like, but he brought some, which was good for him. So, because I only brought like sweatpants and fucking t-shirts and shit. So, interestingly enough, so there was a downstream effect of what we just did. So, he has a white shirt with blue polka dots, right? And I'm wearing a blue shirt with white polka dots. So we look like we're together. So just, you know, like, let it be known, right? You know the theme of how I get into shit. So anyway, we head out on the town, and we want to get some food, right? We want to get some food. And we stopped by this burger spot, and I get like a goat burger, a lamb burger, and it was fucking amazing. You know, it was nice and warm. Downtown Boise's real vibey, not too big, so you can understand, like, you know, kind of the schematics of it. And we're walking around, we're chopping it up with the locals. I get me a nice cocktail, and, you know, we're just ready to kind of vibe out, right? So this lamb burger was amazing, though. It was really, really delicious. I forget the name of the spot, but, you know, I'm sure you'll be able to find that place. It's downtown Boise is not too big. So anyway, so we start walking around. You know, and, you know, before you know, we get hit with the, you know, people are starting to, we're chopping it up with people. They're starting to tell us where the gay parts of town are, and I'm like, yeah, here we go. You know what I mean? And I can't even fault them because me and my boy are like matching hardcore. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm all good with that, and they're super excited for us to go to the gay part of town. I'm like, you know what? You know, we'll fucking go there. Tell me about it. So anyway, we head over to this other bar, and we start, you know, we're having a few glasses of whiskey, and, you know, the lady that is the bartender who is serving us, she's like telling us her life story, where she's from, and me and my boy are kind of chopping it up, and it's fun, man. You just get into conversation. We walk around, we find the Capitol building down in Boise, so, you know, we get a little bit of everything, and then before you know it, we're kind of turned up, right? And in these towns like that aren't too populous, when you have those Lime scooters or those Bird scooters, those are the best towns to do those in. So me and my boy had never done it, and you could tell he was a little bit weary, but I was like, bro, just fucking get on the thing, bro. We'll get it done. It'll be so much fun. So before you know it, we're zooming down the streets. We're going through the University of Idaho or whatever, Boise State. We're like zooming through the campus and shit like that. And I was like, man, this is dope, dude. This is so awesome. And you could tell, like, my boy was like just in it. I was in it, and we were just like fucking loving life, man. Summertime, scooting through the streets, just having fun, you know, just some real hood rat shit with my boy. And then we stop into this coffee spot, get me like an horchata latte, man. Just throw that bag, you know, sober up a little bit. And then we go back to then we scoot on back to the Airbnb just to kind of chill out, explore kind of the area around our Airbnb a little bit. And so again, we're on the river, right? So I get my camera out. I want to get some good pictures in, you know? So we're walking around. We got our flip-flops on. We're putting our feet in the water. And I don't know, I guess this is like a thing that people do. Like they'll hike up to the top of this river or drive up, and then they'll take a canoe or an inflatable boat down. It's a very subtle river. So we were sitting on these steps, and all these people passing by, and they're all fucking like, what's up, baby? Give me your number. And I'm just like, hey, what's up? You know, like, do it. And so we were just getting fucking hit on left and right. And actually, one group gets off their boat, and this chick, like, she's wearing this like bikini, and she's sitting next to us, and she won't leave. And she was nice. We were being nice. We were talking, right? But like she was definitely like, she even said, she's like, I want to hang out with these guys. And she was with two dudes. They're like, nah, dude, you know, like, we got to go back down. And we're just like being nice about it. We're like, for sure, no doubt. And then I was looking at my boy. I'm like, dude, what is going on here? We're fucking hot commodity in Boise, my boy. So it was really funny that kept happening. You know what I mean? It happened so many times, you know? And then so we're walking down this boardwalk. I'm sorry, not boardwalk, down this river path. And we're chopping it up. Me and my boy are talking. It's like the sun is out. It's nice. We kind of go towards the back of it, and like we're walking through the river a little bit. We got our feet in the water, and you know, it's just there's something about running water or flowing water that is so peaceful and relaxing. So we're just sitting there, kind of like not even talking a little bit, just relaxing. And I was very fortunate. I felt very lucky in that moment to be experiencing life the way I am, you know, and I need more moments like this in my life where, you know, I can just reflect and be peaceful and get away, you know, and things like that. So it was beautiful, man. Like, much love to my boy. And then, yeah, so we come back in, we chill out for a little bit, have a few more drinks, you know what I mean? We're buzzing a little bit. And then we go out for dinner, and, again, this waitress that we had at this Italian spot telling us like, yo, the gay part of town is just like right over there. I'm like, fucking, all right, you know, like, whatever. So it was nice. You know, she was actually a lesbian herself. So I was like, you know what? You're cool. You're just trying to look out for us. You're just trying to like make sure we have some fun, you know? So it was cool. She did kind of tell us she had a lot of DUIs. So yep. But you know, everyone to each his own, man. And that about wraps it up, you know? So, we go back home. Like, we've been, you know, we're tired, man. I'm sore from the day before. We've been up. Like, we've only had a couple hours of sleep. So we're just going to go back and knock out, chill, have a drink or two, and just pass the fuck out. Then we get back up. Our flight's at 10. So we got to, you know, be at the airport around 8-ish. And so I take like 100 milligrams of edibles, like, right before the plane. But, like, mind you, I haven't eaten. So, like, edibles really only take when you eat. So I wasn't really stoned on the flight. But I did kind of knock out because I was tired. And then, you know, my boy picked me up. My brother-in-law picked me up from the airport, and he dropped me back off, which was fucking awesome, dude. My brother-in-law, my sister-in-law have been picking us up from the airport. And it is like, you know, if you guys are listening, I fucking love you guys for that. Like, because it is the biggest relief when you come back from the airport, and either it's Midway or O'Hare, and you fucking cannot get an Uber, man, or it's like $100. So, you know, I appreciate y'all coming to get me, man. That's like much love right there. So anyway, I get back home, you know, my brother-in-law, my wife and I were chopping it up a little bit, and then I go to dinner, right? Like a couple hours later, honestly. And then once I eat the first appetizer, dude, the stone starts taking over me, man. I'm fucked up in this restaurant. It's fucking awesome. So I was like, man, it was a real humbling lesson in the fact that, you know, if you want that shit to hit, you got to eat. So, you know, like a good way to carry my trip onto the evening right there. But anyway, that about wraps it up. You know, like I highly recommend you guys go, you know, take a tour of Idaho, go down there for a little bit, you know, get some nature in, get some peace and quiet in, and you know, just reflect a little bit. So I'm happy to share any information. Feel free to reach out to me, and we can connect on it. It was a really fun time. But other than that, that's about all I got. I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast. If anyone wants to come on, holler at your boy. Feel free to leave me any feedback. And remember, only positivity. Thanks, guys.